We got this emailed to us. It's from an assignment given a guy and a girl in an English class, a tandem writing assignment. The instructions from the teacher were these. Today, we will experiment with a new form called the tandem story. The process is simple. Each person will pair off with a person sitting to his or her immediate right. One of you will then write the first paragraph of a short story. The partner will read the first paragraph and then add another paragraph, and so on. Back and forth.
Does it say how long it has to be?
Story is over when both agree a conclusion has been reached. The following was turned in by Rebecca and Gary. Here we go. So now, be careful if you get one like this. Don't let your male hormones take over. All right?
Is this an example of what not to do?
Okay, so the first paragraph is written
by
who?
Rebecca.
Rebecca wrote the first paragraph and then handed it to Gary and said, "Go, Gary. Here you go."
At first, Lori couldn't decide which kind of tea she wanted. The chamomile, which used to be her favorite for lazy evenings at home, now reminded her too much of Carl, who once said in happier times that he liked chamomile. But she felt she must now at all costs keep her mind off Carl. His possessiveness was suffocating, and if she thought about him too much, her asthma started acting up, so chamomile was out of the question.
So she got an affliction just thinking about Carl.
Paragraph.
That's the first paragraph she hands off to this
And then
fella.
she hands this to
Gary.
Right. So Gary reads this thing about Carl and the asthma.
So chamomile was out of the question. Meanwhile, Advanced Sergeant Carl Harris, leader of the attack squadron, now in orbit over Skylon 4, had more important things to think about than the neuroses of an airheaded asthmatic bimbo named Lori, with whom he had spent one sweaty night over a year ago. A.S. Harris to Geostation 17, he said into his transgalactic communicator. Polar orbit established. No sign of resistance so far. But before he could sign off, a bluish particle beam flashed out of nowhere and blasted a hole through his ship's cargo bay. The jolt from the direct hit sent him flying out of his seat and across the cockpit. Paragraph.
A little off the subject there.
Hands it back to Lori.
He bumped his head and died almost immediately. But not before he felt one last pang of regret for physically brutalizing the one woman who had ever had feelings for him. Soon afterwards, Earth stopped its pointless hostilities towards the peaceful farmers of Skylon 4. Congress passes law permanently abolishing war and space travel, Lori read in her newspaper one morning. The news simultaneously excited her and bored her. She stared out the window, dreaming of her youth when the days had passed unhurriedly and carefree. No newspapers to read, no television to distract her from her sense of innocent wonder at all the beautiful things around her. Why must one lose one's innocence to become a woman, she pondered wistfully. Paragraph.
Okay. Hands it back to Gary.
Little did she know she had less than 10 seconds to live.
Got a guy, Gary.
Thousands of miles above the city, the Anudurian mothership launched the first of its lithium fusion missiles. Or lithium fusion missiles. The dim-witted, wimpy peaceniks who pushed the unilateral aerospace disarmament treaty through Congress had left the Earth a defenseless target for the hostile alien empires who were determined to destroy the human race. Within 2 hours after the passage of the treaty, the Anudrian ships were on course for Earth, carrying enough firepower to pulverize the entire planet. With no one to stop them, they swiftly initiated their diabolical plan. The lithium fusion missile entered the atmosphere unimpeded. The president, in his top-secret mobile submarine, headquartered on the ocean floor off the coast of Guam, felt the inconceivable massive explosion which vaporized Lori and 85 million other Americans.
Vaporized her.
The president slammed his fist on the conference table. We can't allow this. I'm going to veto that treaty. Blow him out of the sky. Paragraph. This is absurd. I refuse to continue this mockery of literature. I like it when they killed each other.